Hey everybody, you're very welcome back to In Forest and Lands, and exactly 3 paces from me is Ida Olsson. Always beautiful as ever. And in this video, I am going to run through one of my favorite navigational tools, pace beads. Now, pacing beads can be a bit controversial. Do they work? Do they not work? But I personally like them in the woods, and I think more people should carry them. So in this video, I'm going to run through and explain to you what they are. Pacing beads are very simple, very old school accoutrement. I prefer to use the Forest Fundamentals pace beads just because they have a few extra, quite literally, bells and whistles on them. So what is pacing? Pacing is what everybody does in the woods when you're out and you're walking. So naturally, as a way of not getting lost or a way of finding your way back, a very ingenious way and a very simple way to do it is to count your steps. So pacing beads allow you to do that in a rhythmic kind of way. Think of it as a hiking abacus so you don't lose your way in the forest. There's an awful lot of stuff to remember in the woods when it comes to navigation, when it comes to maps and so on. But one thing every one of us can do is count how many steps we take. So how do you set yourself up with these? Well, you go out, and it's always good to have an excuse to go out to the forest. You find yourself a flat piece of land and you measure 50 meters. However you choose to do that, I tend to use a 10-meter long piece of string that I've measured at home. Measure 50 meters, go out with your pace beads, count your paces over 50 meters, count your paces back over 50 meters, and then you know exactly how many steps you take at 100 meters. Keep it in your journal. Remember it for when you're out in the woods. Pacing beads work by having 9 beads on the bottom here and 4 beads on the top. Now, if anybody fancies walking 4 kilometers and counting every step, be my guest. But what I like to use pacing beads for is just if I'm sitting at camp like this, maybe I'm in my hunting den, maybe I'm sitting around the campfire and I just need to use the toilet and it's off in a thick piece of brush. What I will do then is take a line of sight from where I need to go and I will count every second step. Your pace wants to be as close to 1 meter as possible, but not everybody's pace is going to be 1 meter. So you count every second step. For some, it may be your left leg. For some, it may be your right leg. So you go left, right, left, right. And the second right one counts as a pace. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when you take every second step, you will count 10 of those steps, and then you will slide 1 bead down, and I'm sure that those who know their distances have kind of figured out how pace beads work now. You take another 10 paces, you slide another bead down, and so on and so forth, and then when you get to the 10th set of 10, you got yourself a kilometer. These are your kilometer beads, these are your meter beads. You reset your pace beads, and you repeat the process until you get to your other kilometer beads. But then at least you have a rough measurement of how far you have walked to use the bathroom, to maybe check out what was over there, especially if you're out foraging. Foragers can tend to spend most of their time with their vision based at 45 degrees looking down, and then all of a sudden you look up and you don't know where you are. You can then take a very quick reference, count your pace beads, and at least you may not end up exactly where you wanted to go, but you will end up in the area where you want to be. Pacing is important for that because most people can get lost by thinking they've traveled further than they have and being too short from where they are, or they'll travel across where they are. So helping not get lost would stay within those brackets. The Forest Fundamentals pace beads, which I've helped create, is got a few extra features should in case you find yourself turned around in thick woods. It's got an emergency whistle on the bottom, just in case, and you should learn your 3 toots. And then if you happen to be extremely lost, you can take the extra cordage that's off the bottom of this, and inside here is fire cord, so you can get a fire going, and more importantly, get a signal fire going, and there'll be later videos on how to create signal fires on the channel. They come with a carabiner, and you can clip them up here on top, or like me, I keep a spare set in my navigation equipment. Now, when it comes to more advanced navigation and using pace beads, you're going to need yourself a journal because naturally Mother Nature is not flat. You will come across gradients. We'll all have one leg that's shorter than the other and we'll walk in a little bit of circles. But in conjunction with your compass, you can keep a track of your paces and work it out. So if I have taken a bearing off my map and the weather is a little less than inclement, I can kind of work out that it's maybe a kilometer to where I need to want to go. I don't want to overshoot. Remember we talked about not missing the mark or overshooting the mark. If I don't want to overshoot it and I know it's a kilometer, I can take my bearing off my compass and then I can begin to count my paces. Now, why you need a journal when you're starting to use your pace speeds in conjunction with your navigation equipment is maybe you have a light backpack. If you have a light backpack, you have a longer step. If you have a heavier backpack, you have a shorter step. Maybe you're coming down a mountain. Maybe you're going up a mountain. So it's important to have a record of this in here for when you do it. But as you can see, pace speeds, although a very simple, very old school method, is a way to just have fun in the woods when you're out there and not get lost if you need to use the bathroom or go looking to see if those fancy mushrooms are over in the corner of the woods, but also a way to use on longer trips in bigger environments should the weather get bad or you don't want to overshoot your mark. A very simple, very great product.